Welcome to our comprehensive analysis of the DWP's latest policy change and its real-world impact on household budgets across the nation. Today, we're diving deep into what this £416 reduction means for families like Sarah's, exploring not just the numbers, but the human cost behind these cuts, and most importantly, discussing practical strategies to navigate these challenging times. The announcement sent shockwaves through communities already struggling with the cost of living crisis. For many, £416 might not sound like a life-changing amount, but when you're carefully balancing every pound, when each trip to the supermarket requires strategic planning, and when the choice between heating and eating is a monthly reality, this cut represents more than just a number. It's the difference between stability and crisis. Let's start by understanding exactly what these cuts mean in real terms. The £416 reduction isn't a one-time hit, it's an annual figure that translates to approximately £34, 67p less in monthly support payments. For someone like Sarah, a single mother of two working part-time at a local shop, this means reconsidering every aspect of her monthly budget. The weekly swimming lessons her daughter loved, now a luxury she can't justify. The small emergency fund she'd finally started to build, it will likely be depleted within months. The timing of these cuts couldn't be more challenging. With inflation still affecting everyday essentials, energy prices remaining volatile, and food costs continuing to rise, many families were already walking a financial tightrope. The DWP's decision adds another layer of complexity to an already precarious situation. According to recent statistics, over 40% of benefit recipients were struggling to make ends meet before these cuts were announced. Now that number is expected to rise significantly. To truly understand the impact, we need to look at different household scenarios. Take the Thompson family, Mark and Lisa, both working part-time while caring for their elderly mother. The £416 reduction means they'll need to find an additional £8 per week just to maintain their current standard of living. For the Patels, a family of four with one disabled child, the cuts will affect not just their basic living expenses, but potentially their ability to afford specialized care equipment that isn't fully covered by the NHS. The ripple effects of these cuts extend far beyond individual households. Local economies, particularly in areas with higher concentrations of benefit recipients, are likely to feel the impact as families reduce their spending. Small businesses, already operating on tight margins, may see decreased customer footfall. Community organizations and food banks are bracing for increased demand on their services, many already reporting longer queues and dwindling supplies. But it's not just about the immediate financial impact. The stress and anxiety caused by financial insecurity can have lasting effects on mental health and family relationships. Studies have shown that financial strain is one of the leading causes of relationship breakdown and can significantly impact children's educational outcomes. Organizations like Mind and Citizens Advice are already reporting increased calls from people worried about how they'll cope with the reduced payments. Let's break down where this £416 typically went in many households before the cuts. For many families, it represented 2 months' worth of energy bills during winter, approximately 6 weeks' worth of groceries for a small family, or essential school supplies and uniforms for 2 children. Now, families are forced to make difficult choices about which essentials to prioritize and which to cut back on. The government's justification for these cuts centers around encouraging more people into work and reducing welfare dependency. However, critics argue that many benefit recipients are already working, often in multiple part-time jobs, and that the cuts could actually make it harder for people to maintain employment by affecting their ability to pay for childcare or transportation to work. Looking at the broader economic context, these cuts come at a time when the UK economy is sending mixed signals. While unemployment rates have remained relatively stable. Wage growth hasn't kept pace with inflation for many workers, particularly those in lower-paid sectors. The cost of living crisis continues to bite, with essential items seeing some of the highest price increases in recent memory. For those affected by the cuts, there are some potential ways to mitigate the impact, though none are perfect solutions. Many local authorities have hardship funds that can provide emergency support. Housing associations and utilities companies often have schemes to help vulnerable customers. Additionally, organizations like Turn2 US and Step Change offer free advice on managing reduced income and dealing with debt. The changes also highlight the importance of understanding all available support options. Some families may be eligible for other forms of assistance they haven't yet claimed. For instance, many working parents don't realize they might qualify for help with childcare costs, while others might be missing out on council tax reductions or other local support schemes. Let's look at some real-world strategies people are employing to cope with the cuts. Community support networks are becoming increasingly important, with some neighborhoods organizing skill-sharing schemes from childcare cooperatives to bulk buying groups. Others are turning to technology, using apps to find the best deals on groceries or track their spending more carefully. The impact on different demographic groups varies significantly. Single parents, particularly those with young children, are among the hardest hit. The cuts can affect their ability to work by making childcare less affordable. Disabled people who rely on benefits to cover additional living costs face particular challenges, as the reduction in support can affect their independence and quality of life. Consider Emma, a wheelchair user who works from home as a freelance graphic designer. The support payments she received helped cover the additional energy costs of running essential medical equipment and maintaining a suitable working environment. The £416 reduction means she now faces difficult decisions about her health management and work setup. The cuts also disproportionately affect those in areas with higher living costs. In London and the South East, where housing costs eat up a larger proportion of income, the reduction in support payments can have an even more severe impact. For someone living in social housing in Manchester, the cut might mean reducing non-essential spending. For someone in similar circumstances in London, it could mean falling into rent arrears. There's also a geographical dimension to consider. Areas with higher concentrations of benefit recipients will see more money taken out of their local economies. This could lead to a downward spiral effect, where reduced spending power leads to job losses in local businesses, potentially creating more benefit claimants. The timing of these cuts coincides with other significant changes in the benefit system, including the ongoing rollout of universal credit and changes to how benefit rates are calculated. This creates a complex web of adjustments that many families need to navigate simultaneously, often without adequate support or guidance. For young people just entering the workforce or trying to establish independent lives, the cuts present particular challenges. The reduction in support can affect their ability to save for deposits on rental properties or invest in training and education to improve their employment prospects. This could have long-term implications for social mobility and economic inequality. The impact on children in affected households is a particular concern for many organizations working in this space. Research has consistently shown that childhood poverty can have lasting effects on educational achievement, health outcomes, and future earning potential. The £416 reduction could mean some families having to cut back on educational resources, extracurricular activities, or even basic necessities like proper winter clothing. Local support services are adapting to meet the increased need. Food banks are extending their opening hours and trying to source more supplies. Citizens' advice bureaus are training more volunteers to help people navigate the changes and find alternative sources of support. Community centers are organizing swap shops and skill-sharing sessions to help people make their resources go further.